the cloud. All right, let's do this thing. All right, you guys. Today is February, I believe, the 5th. Super excited to announce our guest today, Dave DeLorenzo. I'm really fortunate that I was able to connect with him through Jeremy, who was on last week. I'm actually part of a business mastermind group with Dave, who's kind of sharing a lot of his business smarts and trying to help me be better every single day. And Dave isn't somebody else who, I'll let him kind of give his background about what he does, but he's incredibly fit. He just turned 50, so I know I gave him a happy belated earlier when we were kind of BSing in the beginning of this call, but happy belated to you. Really happy to have you on, and feel free to kind of start origin story or kind of however long you want to go. Just realize we're probably only going to keep it to about a half hour. So
cool. Yeah. Yeah, everybody calls me Delo because my last name is DeLorenzo. I was born in Arizona, in Scottsdale, where I still reside today. It's absolutely beautiful out here. I grew up as a kid, always being, fit and active, and always let's just say, self-starter. I was the entrepreneur with a lemonade stand, and I traced pictures of Star Wars figures and sold them, which I'm sure was probably illegal. But it just was one of those things where I started learning about business even at a young age, when I would come in with, like $6 of cash and I thought I was rich. My parents were like, well, okay, the lemonade costs this much, the sugar costs this much, the cups cost this much. And, by the time all was said and done, I was broke. So it was it was kind of a good, kick in the butt, even at a young age. And I still remember that moment. And then, I got, as I grew up, I was always active and I was always into things. And then I ended up going to college at ASU. I got an internship for Warner Brother Records. If you look over here, you can see got a lot of awards and accolades for promoting bands. Everybody from Aerosmith to Van Halen to Madonna was my boss for a little bit. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Snoop Dogg. I mean, the list goes on. So I was very blessed to be in a position where when I got an internship for Warner Brothers, it turned into a job, and I made the most of it for those 3-4 years. And then I started my own business, which was it was a marketing company called Diamond in the Rough, and we promoted all sorts of records. Like, it was back in the day when like CDs were still, a thing, and you would go and we would package these bags full of stickers and CDs of like the new Korn record or whatever it was. And we'd go in front of the Coliseum during a state fair. And then as the Coliseum let out, we'd give people all these, these bags, these goodie bags, and we'd literally get paid probably, $10,000 for the night. I mean, it was crazy because all these record labels would send us this stuff and we'd stuff them. So the industry went to shit. The record industry did, and I had to figure out what I was going to do. So I ended up getting into the line of insurance, and which is what I do now. I'm one of the largest, if not the largest, in Arizona hospitality broker, meaning that I insure people that drink and drive. I insure the bars and the restaurants. So if somebody drinks and drive, gets in an accident, kills somebody, insurance will actually cover that. Somebody gets in a fight, somebody gets shot, somebody gets food poisoning, somebody slips and falls, somebody's place burns down. All that sort of stuff is what I've been specializing in for the last 25 years. I've also owned 13 restaurants, so I know the business pretty well, also. But insurance was never for me. Again, I have a marketing background, so I've always been good at marketing and doing promoting and creating relationships. Creating relationships was the number one thing. Now, how this kind of stems into health and wellness, again, as I had mentioned, as a younger kid, I was a very fit kid. I always did all the things, track, running. I was an avid runner, did all that stuff. And then sometime within my late 20s to my 30s, I became very ingrained into the societal norm of just drinking every night and partying and, doing all the things, staying up till 4 a.m. Just not good stuff. No regrets, because I'm glad I did all that, got out of my system. But I had to get it, I had to get rid of that sort of lifestyle to be now at 50, probably the fittest I've ever been in my life. And I taken that approach about 10 years ago when I found my wife and got married, because I wanted to have the energy and the love and the passion that being clear-minded would let me be, and not just for myself, but for my family, for my friends, for everything. So kind of gave up that lifestyle, not kind I gave up that lifestyle about 10 years ago. But when I just this last year, when I was 49, I had a goal by the time I was 50, which was yesterday, to be completely shredded. I know it's such a vanity goal, right? But what it did is it taught me a lot. It allowed me to really compartmentalize and organize even more so, how to have a successful day. And so if I knew what I was eating, how I was eating, how I was looking at food more as like, a tool to help me become more energetic and better, and no questions on what I was doing for the day. It just was a better fit for me, and I'm type A, and so I can go this direction or that direction. So back in July, I got another coach. I have like 4 coaches. It's ridiculous, but I love it. I love having somebody to talk to. I think every good person definitely needs a coach or two. I mean, just at the end of the day, because we, including me, we don't have all the answers, let alone half of the answers. And so it's always good to get different perspectives and different mindsets. So I got a coach, and in July I was like 164 pounds, 20 plus body fat percent. And I ended up doing a bodybuilding show in October, and I did not embarrass myself. I was at about 9% body fat and 144 pounds. And so now I'm just kind of in the stage of just enjoying the lifestyle and maintaining a decent body. I'm not gonna stay that low, because as you all probably know, it's just not the most healthy thing to be that way all the time. But it definitely helps me in business. It helps me with being at this age where most people just have, I don't want to say given up, but they don't want to organize their lives in a way to where they utilize food more as a crutch. It's like an excuse to let go of your stress. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy food. Like, I'll have a night out, every couple of weeks. I'll eat 2 pizzas and, a bunch of dessert and stuff like that. I mean, I love food. I'm addicted to all that, good stuff. But I also recognize, what the reward is by eating clean and healthy. And it's being, just more present and more productive for work and my family and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Dave, I wanted to unmute myself like 3 times when you were going over that and just be like, take your shirt off.
Yeah.
Show us the shred.
That's funny.
Well, cool. We do have, yeah, we might have to end with that. Maybe we'll end with that. I do want to say, in regards to that, you've been able to make this shift, and I don't want to say it's happened overnight for sure, because, knowing you a little bit, but I want you to kind of speak to some of those changes that you've kind of made over time. And then also, we've got some people in the group that are working with me that are approaching, 50s or above their 50s too, who are struggling. They're starting to have more aching pains, more of that type of stuff. So talk to me about ways that you can kind of mitigate that, and some changes that you've made in your own training kind of over time, so that you can optimize that for your position you are in life, as well as kind of your goals that you're looking to get after.
Yeah, I think what we have to do, including myself, is acknowledge who we are at what point of life that we're at and what we're going through. And so when I was a 20, 30 something year old kid, I just did. I mean, I would go, it gets to be 118 out here. I go run in the heat, that'd probably kill me now. I would run 40, 50 miles a week, and I would weight train. I would just do all of this stuff thinking it was benefiting me. And at the end of the day, it was just tearing me down. And so what I had to acknowledge is that where I'm at in this life and what's important, and honest truth for me, that, was really hard. It was pulling back, because if you have that piss and vinegar and that fire within you your whole life, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, if I pull back, it means I'm bowing down to the fact that I'm getting older. Well, guess what? None of us are going to escape that. It is what it is. So how do we get older and smarter, but stay fit and stay together the whole time? And so for me, when I got a calisthenics coach. Mobility, as Jeremy, probably expressed last week and does all the time. Mobility was key for me. It was being able to move in just ways that I hadn't even moved when I was younger because I was too busy, just beating the crap out of my body. So it was that, and it was the utilization of time. I do lift weights. I love weight training. I love all my stretching routine during the day. Um, I I know the foods, and I think that I know that doing blood test and understanding what's going on the inside of you, because we're all different. I can't tell somebody that, the way I eat or what I do is going to be good for them. I don't know what's inside them. I don't know what makes them tick. All of our bodies are so unique. And so having a natural path and doing those sorts of things for the last 10 years, I can go and graph and see everything from what my testosterone levels were to my vitamin D levels to my Bs to all those sorts of things to have a really good comprehensive understanding. If we treat our bodies and our lives in essence like a business. I mean, this is a business. You got to know what's going on. You got to know what makes it rock and roll. What fuel you can give to it to make it better, and know how you can relax a little bit and give it a little leeway. And when I talk about relaxation, that's another thing, is rest. I didn't understand the benefits of rest days, of not, overdoing things, of taking naps sometimes during the day, of meditating, finding hobbies. I have hobbies like I have my guitar in here. I play guitar, just in the middle of my day in my office, just to kind of have some escapism, because when I'm playing guitar, my mind's not thinking about all the other stresses. And stress, I mean, especially as we get older and we have, some of us have house payments and car payments and kids in college and, wives that want purses and all sorts of, stuff like that. It's like, it can add up. All that stress will just, come down on you. So I've learned how to compartmentalize and deal with stress in increments. I still have it, but I'm really good at it, and it's fun to be able to see it as a challenge. And so at 50 years old, to even say that I'm 50, it's crazy to me, because and you'll hear it all the time from older people that are like, yeah, I still feel like a kid, and some still do act like kids and go out and do some crazy stuff, but those are really the key components. It's not overdoing it. It's understanding what's going on inside your body, to get to where you want, outside, and to feel good and to be energized, and not to and to relax a little bit and to not stress out so much, and just understanding that not I think a lot of people, as they get older, they go through this awareness and this wisdom where it's like, all that stuff that I really stressed about, when I was in my 30s, and that I thought it was the end of the world, and I don't even remember anymore. I remember I get so worked up over things that I now look at little, but in the time they were huge. It was like the end of the world. I think those moments are few and far between for me now, because I've been through a lot of them, and that's it's a blessing to be at this point in life and have that understanding. So if there's any other knowledge I can lend or give to you, it's really really understand and acknowledge and learn from everything that you're going through right now. And I journal and I read through my journals, and gives me really good perspective of how well I am doing, and how I feel. So
Sweet. Yeah, I appreciate that. We've got, people ranging, and Bobby's actually on the call today too. And I hate to call you out, Bobby, but Bobby's a new dad. And Bobby's reaching this point too in his life that's totally different. We've got a couple other parents that are on today with us too. And new parents, I think a lot of times are struggling and with their time availability and time, management, and being able to make sure they're taking time for themselves. Seems like you've had, with your businesses over the course of X amount of years, had to really learn how to do that. Tell me a little bit about some skills or things that you've learned to help you kind of manage your time and make sure you're able to kind of put that mask on of yours, and then still fill your cup, so you're not kind of beating yourself up week to week and day to day.
yeah, and this is what works for me. So take out of it, what you want or what you don't want. I have a calendar, and I love to know what's coming up on my next day, my day after, that sort of thing. I like to compartmentalize my day. I do have full control of my day. So, true transparency. I don't work for anybody. I do my things. All the things that I do are a choice. But that being said, the choices that I make sure that they're beneficial at this point in my life to my psyche, that they're going to energize me, that it's going to be something where I'm not losing time. My train ride, is not that long compared to, others who have a longer train ride. And so I just want to make sure that I'm having the best ride possible until till the end now, because I can control a lot more of that stuff. So um the calendar organization is huge for me. I know, like, if I set things for myself, which I do, like once a week, I go do 30-minute guitar lessons. That's for me. That's my time. You have to, and this is like a me telling you sort of thing, because it's just, it's kind of dickish, but I just really feel that you have to put time aside for yourself and do a hobby or something that you really enjoy. And even if it's just going for a 30-minute walk, with a podcast or some cool music that you grew up to, or just to kind of release and just move your body and do all that stuff, as long it's you got to do something, because if you're not good enough for yourself to do that, you're not going to be good enough for anybody else. And you mentioned kids and this and that. Look, I love my kids. I raising them through middle school and high school, and helping them through college right now. I love my kids, but I always made sure that I got my workouts in. I made myself a priority. I did whatever I needed to do, and they're fine, and they're fine, and they recognize that, and they also see a lot of the stuff that I did by not letting myself go. I was never, a parent that was I was never mad. You know what I'm saying? I was never regretful or pissed that I had to go take, Jack or Matthew to the baseball game, because I'd gotten up early, and I made it a priority to take care of those things for myself that completed me, for the day. So that's my number one thing, is to just, tell people to make sure that they take a little bit of time for themselves, even if it's just, a couple times a week, but maybe daily, for 20-30 minutes, have your time. And a lot of successful entrepreneurs that I deal with, that I have been in groups with in EO, which is a entrepreneur organization. I mean, these people got way bigger companies than mine that do very well. It's exactly what they do. They just get up a little bit earlier before the kids get up. They take some time to read, have their coffee, go for a walk, do all that sort of stuff, or they do it at night, depending on what your schedule's like. So.
Yeah, cool. Totally agree with the waking up early sentiment. I think it's funny that I don't know if I would call myself for kind of where I'm at now, because I'm kind of never satisfied with kind of my own state, but the success in anything that I've done so far is because of that little bit of extra time that I've kind of taken for myself too. So I can totally echo that as well. Does anybody live in the call have any questions for Dave? That way we can kind of fire these off and get those rolling.
David, you mind talking a little more about, like, I'm not like super familiar with it, and so like the blood testing you do, and like when you started doing that, and kind of
Yeah.
resources for that, because that interests me a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So, um, I started when I was about 39, having like low energy, and just kind of all these things. And you see so many advertisements for testosterone, and go on HGH, and just all this stuff. And full disclosure, I've never been on a drug in my life. Never. I don't know if I'm proud of the fact, or it's just one of those things where I'm just kind of like, I've always been scared of that sort of stuff because of my run-ins with alcohol and how much I liked it. I'm like, okay, a little is really good, more is going to be just kick ass. So it's like, I never went that route. And what is funny, the whole antithesis for me to have gotten, I think getting back in shape at this age was a byproduct of me doing my blood test and not going on testosterone, because I wanted to give it one more shot. And so the trainer that I found, he's a guy that had been doing a podcast, and he's like, yeah, but I just get my vitamin D. I have no synthetic drugs. I don't take age. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to see how long I can run this course, before because I also don't want to downplay it like it's a negative thing, because our bodies, as we get older, we lose all this stuff. And there is, you know, non-synthetic and more like natural stuff that you can take. And I get all that. And I whatever somebody wants to do with their body, it's their body. Totally cool. So that's why I kind of bring up the blood test, because I think if you're going to do something to your body, be educated about it, you know. And these blood tests, if you have health insurance, most of them, there's like 5 health insurance companies in the nation that, you know, really are operable, because that's a whole scam in itself. And I sell the shit. But here's the thing, it's they will cover labs if you go, you know, to the right doctors that know how to kind of parlay the labs. And there's some big lab places like Sonoran Lab and LabCorp and stuff like that. So when I was 39 and I was starting to feel run down, I wanted to get an articulation of what that meant, what those numbers were. If you can't track it, you have no idea. And you can look at my Google Docs, and I have 2 blood tests every year since I was 39, and now I'm 50. And it's kind of cool. It's like Tetris. You can see, like, you know, things, how they fluctuate. And I keep a journal of what I eat and what supplements I've taken. And so by doing that, I know how my body's going to react, you know, optimally as I get older. And some things will change because your body's just going to be depleted of certain things that it cannot produce, you know, anymore. But I do think that there's supplementation you can take to naturally, you know, kind of uplift all that. So I went and found a naturopath. I found a doctor that's not going to just, you know, say, okay, here's your blood test. I'm going to give you this, this, and this in a bottle form, and you're going to take it. I've never been on a prescription drug, you know, nothing. So I'll go to a naturopath, and generally what they'll do is they'll run the usual panels, and the panels are all the stuff that, you know, from uric acid to your stress levels. I mean, just all the really important bullet point stuff. And as you get more into it, you'll understand the questions to ask that are a little bit more broad. And then as you start to have, like, you know, symptoms, whether it's tiredness, whether it's, you know, active bladder, I mean, just all these weird things that start happening to you as you get older. You're like, what's going on here? What the naturopath will do then is they will find remedies that are more or less, quote unquote, natural. And it'll be, you know, stuff like vitamin D and amino acids and, you know, things like that, that we just don't think about within ourselves, and that we are not getting from our food. We're just not getting any of that shit from our food. I mean, it's funny because my wife and I try to eat as clean as possible. I mean, I literally I have a garden in my backyard. I cut my own lettuce and pull carrots and radishes. It's a blast. You know, it's like being a kid again. But, you know, once I started going on the 1 ingredient food diet, meaning that everything that I eat is 1 ingredient. If it's a potato, it's a potato. If it's a piece of bison, piece of bison. If it's a carrot, it's a carrot. And a lot of times I think people get so caught into the minutia of like, oh, this is going to help with this or that. And you just got to be careful all that stuff, because I've tried it all and none of it works. So that's a long-winded answer. I would definitely find a doctor or somebody that you can have a relationship with. It's unfortunate to say this, is that most of the doctors that are worth a shit that will really do this and not prescribe you all the bad stuff, you got to pay cash. I probably paid my doctor $700, you know, cash twice a year, but I get 45 minutes with her, and we go over the whole analysis of the test, and then I can get the test covered on insurance. So, and I'd be happy if you ever want to email me. I'd be happy to even like share my test with you. I don't give a shit, and you can look at them and just kind of get a feel for what you know, what it looks like and what they can do for you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Yeah, of course. I have to email you my mustache picture too. It's amazing. Put you to shame. Actually, you guys got it.
Okay, I have a question.
I've got room regulation over here, so.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. I was making sure. If you could live by one motto, what would that motto be?
Right here. Do or do not. There is no try.
Love it. Love it. Great answer. Love it.
No,
Short and sweet.
No, seriously. I mean, and think about the context of that. Look, George Lucas, he was no dummy. He was very spiritual. All the Star Wars, it's based on mythology. It's based on real stuff. So find the motto. I love that you asked that. That's a great question. But that's literally my motto. I mean, it's like you either do something or you don't. Don't sit on the fence about it. And if what you do doesn't end up with the result that you want, that's okay as well, because you take all of that and you learn from it and you go do something else that's going to give you the result that you do want. But just doing nothing, but what good is it? You're not living. I look like Yoda today.
Yeah, you guys got matching colors going on right now, color coordinated.
Yeah.
Ricky, do you have anything for Delo? I know you're probably in the car right now.
I am in the car. I have nothing, but I'm enjoying every little bit of this advice. Truly appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Cool, Delo. So I'm gonna ask you one last question, and then I'll kind of let you go. If you were, in a position where you could help these guys out along their health and wellness journey, and I know we kind of touched on a couple different things, what's the one piece of actionable advice that you'd want to give them to kind of set them up for, a path forward, whether that's,
You want to mute?
whether that's sorry about that, whether that's like food related or some sort of mobility or anything like that that kind of gets moves the needle for some of these guys. Talk to me about one like little piece that you would want to give them.
I love this advice here, and I hope you guys kind of just take this and really think about it. I've got some decades going on me, and I have tried everything. I've tried every fad, tried every food. I went vegan for a year. Again, the blood test told me that I was sick when I was vegan. And again, if vegan's your thing, that's totally cool. Do your own testing. The thing is that in order to live a good life, and at this point at half a century, what I have realized and what is really resonating with me now, and it took me almost half a decade to learn this, is to do the things that you love. And that includes fitness, and that includes food, that includes all the stuff. Now, obviously, when I say, if you love Cinnabon, don't be going eating, be smart about it. But if you love steak, or if you love vegetables, or you love those things, be creative with it, enjoy it. And when it comes to fitness, don't get too sucked in to, thinking that this or that is going to make you more, cut or better shape or this and that, because at the end of the day, none of that stuff really matters. Because if you get sick of it, if you get burnt out, if you get hurt, if you just don't want to do it, then it doesn't do you any good. So for me, when I'm, I know my certain days where I'm doing calisthenics, and I love that. I love feeling mobile. I love doing weight training. I love, I just love the aspects. And so we have the power as human beings being in this beautiful country, and thank all of you for that. We have the power to be able to create everything that we want in life. And there's not a lot of people that are able to do that. So whatever you do, just make sure that you enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying it, just move on to something else. You're not going to miss out. You're going to miss out on being, miserable doing something you don't like. So that would be number one.
Awesome, Dave. Really appreciate the chat today. I don't really have a lot. I was waiting for you to pop the top when you finish that off, but that's okay. We'll have to send a photo to everybody of the shredded at 50. There you go. Yeah. Nice, man. Well, we really appreciate you coming on. If any of you guys have any more questions for Dave, definitely feel free to reach out to me, and I'm sure he'd be more than willing to give you his contact information directly. He's a pretty awesome dude. So without further ado, yeah, go ahead, Dave, if you have anything else for these guys.
No, just thank you for having me on, and thanks everybody for listening. And again, share my email address if anybody wants to get a hold of me and just chat. I mean, we all need somebody to talk to, and sometimes it's and I'm just at a point in my life of being able to give and share some experience, and God knows I don't know shit other than what I know, but if that helps somebody little by little, I'm happy to do it. So thank you
for sharing.
Thanks, Dave.
Learned a lot.
All right, thanks you guys. We'll see you guys next week. See ya.